into poor connection. Okay, hopefully y'all can hear me okay. Check in with me real quick, y'all. Let me know how we feeling on this Tuesday morning in America. Check in with me. Let me know how y'all feeling on a scale from 1 to 10. Let me know where y'all checking in from, too. We got a great conversation coming up. Breaking news with Kavon Ward of Where's My Land. And I'm going to see if I can invite. This is always the issue. Let me see. How do we do this? Okay, I think I see okay, here we go. I see a request. To request too. Oh, here we go. I invited you. All right. What's up, y'all? Good morning. Great morning. Great morning. Hey, what's up,
Good
sis? What up?
morning.
What up? What up? What up? What up?
Can
I
you
see
hear
we.
me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you okay. I can hear you okay. What's up, family? Y'all check in. Let me know
What's
where y'all
going
checking
on?
in from. I'm looking in the chat right now. We got some folks checking in from North Carolina, VA, Boston. I was just there recently. Arizona, Evansville, Indiana. What up, Indiana? Herkimer, New York.
New York,
New York,
my
got your
people,
people. Is that far from the
my
city? I don't know.
people.
I don't know about because I know the state is huge. Is that far? Herkimer?
That's probably upstate New York.
Okay, that's near Buffalo side. All
Probably. New York
right.
is huge.
Yeah. Because being from where I'm from, whenever I would hear New York, I would just be thinking of like just a city,
New
but
York
it's
City, yeah.
y'all a whole little entity.
Right. I'm
We
from the borough of Manhattan,
okay.
specifically Harlem World.
Harlem World. Okay, some of my favorite people from Harlem. My favorite rappers,
Yes.
I should say. All right, Charlotte, Detroit, Alabama. It says that she was unable to join. I'm gonna try it again. About to
Oh, she
invite
probably
her.
has to try from you talking about Milana?
Yeah,
Okay, hold
yep.
on. Let me see if I
In the
can text her.
meantime, okay, make sure y'all share this too. Groundbreaking news coming soon as I sip my tea. Let's see what else we got going on. Georgia, we got Charlotte in the house, Texas. Yo, Charlotte, it's been going down in Charlotte. I see they
I
had ice on
know.
the streets in Charlotte like they had out here in Chicago. What up, Chicago? I see somebody from the Chi too. Is she doing okay though?
Milana?
Yeah.
I just told her to do it from her phone because I had a hard time trying to figure out how to do
Oh, okay. She tried to
it.
do it from the computer.
I think so.
Okay.
I just
What up, Toronto? The six, that's what y'all call yourself, right? Okay, the six, what up? Long Beach, Cali, Colorado, west side of Chicago. What's up? No, talking about west side family, North Las Vegas. All right, we got a little connection area. Y'all, I hope y'all are doing okay in America today, y'all. It seems
yeah.
like it's always something. What up, Canada? We got some more Canadians up in here. So I invited her again.
Okay.
And it might be she might have to be following me. I don't know. I don't know if she followed me yet, but I
I
keep
think she
clicking on.
does.
Okay. These things be having issues though. Like when I used to do this with a group of my friends, we had an issue every single time. So I can keep on clicking it and let's see what happens. I'm still clicking it. But in the meantime, I think, what I'm saying, I want to at least give people a quick little introduction on how we even started working together and stuff and
Yes.
how and why this conversation is so important. Um I can't remember if it was 2021 or 2022. That's the thing I just can't exactly remember. But I do know that the situation with Bruce's Beach, that was secured and resolved in 2021 though, right?
Yes, it was
Okay.
resolved in 2021. I started the fight for the land back in 2020. So I think you and I met in 2022. I
Okay.
learned about the amazing work you were doing, your passion around social justice, and I was just like, and plus you're a Scorpio like me, so I was like, I need to connect with that brother. So
That passion.
I
Yeah,
had
yeah.
yes, I had somebody from my team reach out, see if you could help us amplify some of the stories about so many of the other families that we were, attempting to help around the
Yep.
country, and you came through. So I appreciate you, brother, more than you know.
Yeah, for sure. And I think one of the things that we also too understood was you weren't getting enough credit, which is a common theme for the work that you've been doing. And that's a big thing in our history, especially with Black women are oftentimes pushed to the side, erased from history. And I think it was very symbolic. I think back to one of the first videos I did with you all to amplify a story. And I think I had a picture from the Bruce's Beach headline. I think it was in some
The
LA
LA
newspaper.
Times, yeah, the
Yeah,
LA Times article.
yeah, and like you were kind of almost cut off,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
symbolically, right?
Yeah, it was the
So,
erasure. It was like it was unbelievable. I mean, and it happened so many times after, not just with publications and the news, but just like folks in the reparations space who, more often than not lawyers. The lawyers
mm,
are savage, right? We
mm,
do all this work to get these stories amplified, get the stories out, get the decision makers on the path to do what they need to do, to change laws or to do what's morally right to ensure that there is healing. And then the lawyers swoop in and they purposely try to push the advocates and the people who got them to the place where they can start negotiating. They start pushing us to the side because they're addicted to the limelight and they're allergic
mm,
to integrity. And
mm,
more often than not, they're in these people's ears taking advantage of them. But we can go into that later on down the line. But
mm,
the erasure is real. And for me, in doing this work, I knew the significance and the importance of having the media involved for the families, right? I mean, the amplification, the digital amplification, the media articles, that is what got decision makers, that's what pushed them to do the right thing, because folks are not going to just do the right thing because they want to, especially these institutions who have harmed people so severely. They're going to have to be forced to do it. And so the advocacy is so essential. And I knew that the media was important. So for me, when we were winning these cases and we were having these huge successes, I wanted to make sure that we stayed in the media so that the donors and the people could support the work, because the work couldn't
mm,
go on and it can't go on without the support. And unfortunately, some of these folks were so selfish that they didn't care about the work going on. They didn't care about paying it forward. And they just cared about getting the recognition and not understanding that the people who did the work need the recognition so that we can keep doing the work, so that we can be supported in doing the work.
mm. You know what? That's facts right there, and it got me thinking. I remember when I first started working with you all, and for the folks that's just tuning in, I'm with Kavon Ward, the founder of Where Is My Land, who most people might know because she helped Bruce's Beach be reclaimed by the family, and she's been doing a lot of work since then that we want to even talk about too. But I remember when I first started working with you all, and I thought you did have like a legal background. I just assumed, like, but I think that it kind of speaks to just how great the work you did and are doing is, because you prove that you don't, like, you have to have that passion, that direction, that discernment, and just go after it. So, like, can you briefly explain to folks how you even got involved in this fight to help Black families reclaim land?
I mean, discernment is key, right? I think just audacity is another key word. And when you talk about how I got involved in this, it wasn't something that I looked into. It was something that I was called to do, right? I saw that there was an issue in the community I lived in, which was Manhattan Beach at the time. And I've always been severely protective of Black people and passionate about my people, and always felt like I was called to help in some way, shape, or form. And so when I saw, that this had happened to the Bruces, I was like, oh no, I need to do something. I need to use the power that I have, and the passion that I have, and the fact that I'm not tied to an entity that could scare me out of doing the work. Right. I think that
Hmm.
was the most powerful thing I had. So many times I'm seeing it now. Like, folks are so afraid to be radical, right? And radical, I mean, it's just like, just do the work that is necessary to get the justice that is needed, right?
Mm,
Radical, that this reparations work is radical work, and it doesn't mean that it's wrong work. It just means that it's like you have to be fearless to do this, and you have to have fearless support to do it. And we don't have enough people. When I think about, Charlie Kirk, right, who is radical on the other end of the spectrum, when he started his company, his organization, he had the radical right giving millions of dollars to it,
Mm-hmm.
millions, just throwing money at them, right? But when Kavon Ward starts Where Is My Land, despite having a track record, we've never been donated up to $1 million. Never. Like when I started the work, the Bruces had agreed to donate $1 million for the work that I had done with them, and they reneged on that promise. So
Mm-hmm.
not only do you not have the people who you're helping, supporting the work, but you don't have philanthropy really supporting to the extent that they need to support it, right? Like this is hard work. You come up against so much resistance. And not only are you needing to do the work to build the infrastructure, right? Not only are you having to advocate, but you're having to fundraise and you're having to prove over and over again how important and significant the work is despite your track record. Like that's what I
Mm-hmm.
had to deal with. So much of my time and energy was focused on trying the business and trying to sustain the business, that it took the energy away from the thing that I'm most passionate about, which is like tuning into source so that I can help these families. And so
Right.
I forgot what your question was initially, but how I got into this work was I was called to do it. And
Mm.
I think that goes into why I decided to do this interview with you, because we're shutting down Where Is My Land.
Mm.
We're
Mm.
shutting it down. We just do
Mm.
not have
Mm.
the support. We do not have the investment necessary. And when I tell you burnout is real, like these last 4 years, I have been like a true New Yorker, wheeling and dealing, trying to figure out how to take money from here to put it toward there to keep and we just don't have enough support. We don't have enough support for it. And so we got to shut
Mm.
it down. But
Wow. I was gonna try to like just you. Dang. I mean, every time you tell me that, it hurts. Like it just hits me because I
I
know
know.
how passionate you are about this work, and I know the work
Yeah.
you've done behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I know how hard it has been for you working with families, and not always, having these families be even honest and upfront, and having your
Yeah.
reputation on the line. And then, like you said,
Yes.
with the Bruce family, not being able
Yeah.
to get that funding, and like, just for me, even I still feel like I'm a newer entrepreneur. When you have to do so many things other than focus on the main thing,
Right.
it does not allow you to be as great as you can be, and great
Right.
for the purpose. It's almost like if you're on a team, basketball team, and you a point guard, and you can't just focus on getting the team involved, but just focus on scoring. If you're a shooting guard, you
Right.
gotta rebound, you gotta do this, you gotta write the plays
Right.
up. And
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that is so true, because like I know this might sound crazy to some people, but the people who are spiritually awakened can understand where I'm coming from. Like I was with the Bruce's case, I was getting downloads every morning. I would literally meditate, set aside time in the
Mm,
morning before my
mm,
daughter got up, and just meditate, and the next steps would come to me. The downloads would come. Like I was in sync with source.
mm,
And I feel like when I started Where Is My Land, I was in sync with source, but just in a different way. I was in sync with source to figure out how to will and deal and to keep the business afloat, right? Like how to get this grant from here and how to get this. But I was like, I wasn't really hands on with the clients until they got to the advocacy phase. And by the time I was dealing with them, I was burnt out. and,
mm,
and I was like, why am I doing this? As you might know, I think you saw the article where a couple of months ago we had to temporarily suspend services because we
mm,
were expecting some funds to come through, which never came through.
mm,
And so I temporarily stopped services because I had to end up laying off my whole team.
mm,
And I just started doing one-on-one consultations with my clients. And when I tell you, I felt the light again, like it was so rewarding for me to be able to be in a space where I could just strategize with these folks. Right.
mm.
Like I was in it. When I tell you I started feeling like I felt with Bruce's Beach. I started getting the downloads again. And
Yeah.
I started to feel like the work was more rewarding this
Mm,
way. So, oftentimes I think, the Most High, He provides these blessings in disguise, right? Like I was sick, so upset that I had to let all those beautiful people go who really did want to do this work. But at the same time, it brought me back to what I believe God's purpose was for me in this work, and that is to connect one-on-one and just strategize, because I'm a brilliant strategist. I know that about myself.
Mm. So for the folks that's just tuning in, we got Kavon Ward of Where's My Land, the founder who has successfully helped Black families get land that was unjustly taken and stolen by various institutions. And after, I want to say, what, 4+ years of doing this work, five
Yeah,
years maybe?
yeah, five, including Bruce's Beach situation.
Mm.
Justice for Bruce's Beach was like a year and a half, and then I transitioned into more of a national organization to try to help more folks, like
Yeah,
the following year in 2021. So yeah, since
yeah.
2020, I've been in the game.
And she has decided to shut down operations, not because she wants to, but because of various other issues regarding funding and support. And I think this is a lesson though that
Yeah,
we have to all gain from this. Because like you said with Charlie Kirk, I mean, folks on that side never struggle for funding. They never
never. It
struggle
was
for
thrown
money.
at him. It was thrown at him.
It was
Oh, we
thrown at him
got a
at what,
bag.
18? Yeah, like this dude,
It's
whatever, I
crazy.
forget the name of his mentor. He recruited him at 18, like, y'all want to throw you this money to promote this as to be a young conservative, whatever. And and I think that's why when I talk to kids and they always are going towards this aspiration of being, this career or athlete or entertainer because of the money, and because of this though, you can't blame them sometimes because they see it appears to be the easiest access, but we have to make sure that we have a pathway for people who do this very important work to get the funding and the money necessary. Otherwise our kids will see this as an example of
Yeah.
what not to do, and that can't be the case.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just not, when I think about all the threats, the lies told about the work that we do and me, and just so much. I'm just like,
Mm,
why? Why is it even worth it? Like,
mm,
sometimes you run up against folks who you are helping who are trying to harm you.
mm.
And that's not the reason
How
why.
much how
Because
much can you how
I'm
much can you
yeah,
speak to
I'm a
that?
tough cookie. I could deal with stuff
Yeah.
like that. Like whatever.
Mm,
I let the lies roll off of me. They have truths roll off of me. But you can't. You have to admit that this stuff does cause burnout, right? You're fighting from every angle. You're fighting just to fight for people,
mm,
right? You are having to be the therapist in groups and families where people can't be on one accord, right? That's a lot of energy. And I've just been given so much energy that I'm like, I need to refocus and bring it in some, right? I need to focus on not just, the calling, but on me and my mental health
yeah.
and just ensuring that I'm the light in the world that I know I'm here to be. And
Mm.
so I can't give my energy to everything. And that was part of, the spiritual, awakening for me. Like you got it. Everybody can't have it.
That's real. I can relate to that so much. And again, I guess maybe that's why, because we both Scorpios, but like we want to help everybody with our
Hmm.
passion. And
Yeah.
it does lead to burnout. You get to the point, and I think I probably figured mine out when I was teaching, but it's something I'm still grappling with. It's like I got to make sure I'm good first.
Yeah.
I got to figure this out for myself. I got to heal. I got to worry about me. Then I can help. And I think what's, on the positive end of this, like you said, it's kind of a full circle moment. So now you can just focus on providing those resources and that advice to families as opposed to having to worry about so many other things or making sure you meet payroll and, getting
Right.
folks and, like
Like,
that.
goodness.
Because I mean, I
You
can't
have
even
no
imagine.
idea. Like you just triggered something. Making sure I have there have been like I can't even tell you how much debt I'm in because I was worried
Mm,
I had to make like when I tell you I put my own money on the line, I put my
mm,
own money on the line because I was just like, I don't believe in hiring people. And the bulk of my team were Black. And so
mm,
I was just like, we are often undervalued. I refuse to hire these people
yeah.
and not
Yep.
pay them their worth. That was the other
Right.
thing, right? Like, I'm
Right.
going to pay them what they're worth. I'm going to pay them more than a living wage because that's what they
Right.
deserve, right? I'm going to make sure that they have health benefits. I'm going to make sure that they have paid time off. I'm going to like all the things that a legitimate company would provide for their people. I did that.
Mm,
I did that. And I was proud to do that. And I never regretted that. And so I was just like, why am I the only one fighting so that my people who are doing this work, this very important work, which affects their mental health, why am I begging people to help me help my people? Like it was just
Mm,
crazy. Like
mm,
when I tell you, I mean, when I could, I was like taking money out of my pocket to make sure members of my team was getting paid six figures because they were worth it, you know? And
mm,
so I don't regret it, but it's not, you know, it's not sustainable if you don't have the support that you need to do this work. And
mm,
if I can't pay people a living wage or what they deserve to be paid, if I can't provide health insurance, if I can't provide time off, then I don't want to do it. Like
mm,
I don't want to run an organization.
mm.
That's it. Like I don't want that.
That's real. I like what you bring up right there because, and I know having known people that you worked with and hired, like you are paying folks, well above what they would get in most other areas in this type of space too. And that's something I believe in too. And I think that's something that when we talk about supporting Black-owned businesses
Yep.
and organizations, we often forget that aspect of we got to support us, but a part of that includes making sure the people that we support and support the people they
That's
hire
right.
because we can have Black-owned businesses or organizations that are got folks out here starving
Yep.
and they ain't treating their people right. So that's the only way we can like in some ways get out of this hole is when we employ others. We actually make sure they can not just
Right.
survive but thrive, and that's a testament to
Yes.
your integrity.
Yep.
I'm curious to know too, like while you were doing this org. So simultaneously, while you did this work, a lot of conversation about reparations in California began to emerge, and I don't think that's a coincidence, of course.
Of
But
course not.
can you speak to some of the political and legislative successes that came within the context of the work you did with Where's My Land?
Absolutely. I think the first thing that comes to mind is SB 1050. First of all, in order for the Bruces to get the land back, there had to be legislation spearheaded and a law changed so that a private entity could get the land back and not a public entity. And so that's what SB 796 did, right? And so moving forward, I was like, you know, that's good that we did that for one family, but I want to do it for all of California families who have been harmed by racially motivated eminent domain. So I work very closely with Stephen Bradford to craft legislation to make that happen. And one of the things I ensure that they put in that piece of legislation is that, you know, at first they were just talking about compensation. I was like, no, there needs to be land back, right? Land back is important. So that was included in the bill and in the language. And then another part of it was like getting rid of the statute of limitations. And that was included in it. And we had a huge success in that, you know, the legislature passed it. It passed in the Assembly and the Senate and on the floor and everything, it passed. But Governor Newsom didn't sign it into law.
Mm,
But for Governor Newsom, it
mm,
would have passed and it would have
mm.
made it possible for local entities to be held accountable for the harm they caused for racially motivated eminent domain in California.
So why did you
So
think Governor Newsom, somebody who I feel like is now being championed as like this savior from MAGA and somebody who has built, I think, his platform on being, I can't speak to, I don't live there, but being liberal or progressive and, as I think a lot of folks felt confident putting this through because he was the governor. Why do you think he would let it get to that point and then not sign it?
I mean, I have my thoughts. I think honestly, fair. I think a lot of politicians in California, which is why I'm happy I don't live in California anymore, are very, very performative.
Mm,
Um, and, you know, he did it under the guise of like, well, you know, it's attached to these two other bills. And therefore, if those two other bills were not passed, then this, I mean, it was just a bunch of excuses. I
mm.
hold a lot of disappointment for him as a result of that. But at the end of the day, there was also a lot of drama going on behind the scenes with, you know, members of the Senate and the Assembly and the Black Caucus and a whole bunch of bull crap, which always gets in the way of true success. It's like we sat up here for years and like most of the money that we got from California funders, we put into championing that legislation and making sure that we had a team work on the bill. And so it's like, it was like all for naught at the end of the day, you know? And then
Mm,
the crazy thing is that we had we had a fiscal sponsor not want to work with us anymore because of the work we did with that after Trump
mm.
got into office. They were under
Wow.
investigation. and they were like, "Oh, we can't work with you anymore, essentially, because we saw that you were championing this bill." I'm like, but you decided to work with me because you saw my success for SB 796. So, I mean, it just said to me that
mm,
people are afraid, given the political climate. Like,
mm,
I get it. Folks are being targeted big time. And the way we are being targeted, organizations like ours are being targeted, is through our funders and through our fiscal sponsors. And so Trump is winning in that sense, right? Like, I can't imagine that that is not one of the reasons why we are not able to sustain today, because funding literally this year was just like pop, pulled.
yeah, and I don't,
Well, I
and
mean,
I,
they already were not investing enough, right? Like, when I
yeah,
tell you, and one thing, we had donors giving us a couple of $100,000 here, a couple hundred, but it never, ever in any year amounted up to $1 million. Never, ever. We never had
mm,
one person donate $1 million. We never had
mm.
one billionaire. We never had one progressive entity or individual say, I think this work is that important. What I saw happening is, and it's crazy because we have a track record, but what I saw happening was they were giving more funding to organizations that were doing safer work, even if it was in the reparations space, right? It wasn't like, oh, we're going to
Mm,
change these policies and we're going to get land back. Folks are too afraid to do
yeah,
that, to invest in us enough to actually win, to
mm,
keep winning, right? Like, because again, these 4 years, a lot of it was like, how am I going to handle, like, how am I going to use my fund? You know what I'm saying? It was me putting in money to make sure payroll was met.
yeah. So even in progressive California, that's interesting. I think too. I think a part of it is I wonder for him, because politicians they're gonna be political, and he's probably gonna run for president.
Mhm.
And I don't think a lot of white folks are willing to answer to that. So you support reparation, like that.
Right.
You support equity, like you really support equity, so like
Right.
you said, it has to be it because it's funny. It's not funny, but it's really sad that he would probably lose more support across the country with that on his track record than not voting against it. And what does that say about this country, right? So
Right.
like, and I think that's one thing that a lot of folks don't think about in terms of the consequences of an election, in terms of like yeah, you might not agree with everybody on one side, but the climate can create an atmosphere where
Yeah.
people who do this work can't get the proper funding. And because
Right.
of that, there are so many families that can't get what they deserve economically. And now we have a president that is undercutting folks from all ends. So these same families that you could have helped to get properly compensated could be the very people who are losing out on food access
Yes.
whose healthcare
Yes.
premium is going to be
Right.
going up next year. So there's
Right.
so many things that tie into this, which is why we got to have the people in office that we can at least agitate for change.
Right.
Here's another question for you. And I saw somebody put this in the comments, so I think it's worth addressing. Is it possible is it possible to do this work funded by the people fully? And I mean like grassroots, like if what would it take for an organization like yours to be fully funded by people that aren't like, let's say, organization affiliated?
Um, it would take people invest, like, all the $1 donations, all that you see our politicians getting. I think it would take that on a regular basis and a more consistent basis. And I think, yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I've like tuned out of that. Folks have, I've had a conversation with a friend of mine who was like, well, if you could get a significant amount of money, would you keep
Mhm.
Where's My Land going? And I'm like, in this time, space, and reality, probably not, because
Mm,
the burnout is real, one. And two, it is like, I honestly feel like the Most High is calling me in a different direction to do some other things. Um,
and is it
with
worth the stress?
and
Oh,
it is just not where I am in this time, space, and reality anymore. It is not where I know the Most High has me somewhere else, and my attention and focus needs to be on that, and really being able. And then with the success I've been having with these one-on-one meetings with these families, like, when I tell you I feel alive again, I don't want to give that
mm,
up to go
mm,
back to, running a company. I don't, like,
yeah,
not like that. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
I feel like I I'm more of a service to
Mm,
this work in the reparations space when I am engaging one-on-one with the families, and my mind and my energy does not have to be focused on trying to sustain an organization.
mm. And I think welcome, Milana, I'm sorry. I'm glad we were able
Hey,
to finally
Milana.
Glad
able
I
to
could
get you
finally
on
make
here.
it.
Yeah,
So
y'all, we behind the scenes, y'all. We were trying for 30 straight minutes. In between you talking, I kept pressing the button. I kept clicking. I'm reading like 30 straight. Instagram got some crazy issues, y'all. Like
I'm sorry.
30 minutes, y'all.
I admittedly am not a techie, but I don't know what that
No,
was.
they make it
I,
they make it really difficult. They make it really difficult. But before I ask you your question, Milan, I want to ask you, Kavon, um, and really more so of a statement. I think from a tactical perspective, where we are now, it's probably even better to take that approach because
Yeah.
you think about if you get the funding to do a whole team again, and then you are able to fund everybody, but then that's contingent upon maybe the president or the governor, and then you have to lay off like it that shifts so much for people as opposed to you maybe kind of like maybe subcontracting people or maybe having your hand in different
Right.
things behind the scenes. But also I
Right.
hope through this that we realize how important it is for us to support organizations like this because I got a video actually coming about this soon about the civil rights era. There was a meme online I saw on Facebook. There's so much misinformation, and it was trying to say
Mm.
that Dr. King was funded by like the Rothschild banking family, and
Mm.
it was a straight up lie. It was a white Jewish guy in America. His name was Rothschild, but he was not connected with them. He held a fundraising banquet after he won a Nobel Peace Prize. This was a white guy who was in the trenches. But the fact is, most of the funding that they got, Dr. King got, and them got was from church folks,
Yeah.
grassroots, black celebrities. If you look, I got a
I
lot
don't know
of
where the black celebrities are though.
I got a
I'm
lot
sorry.
of them
I don't know
follow
where
my
they are.
page. If you
Huh?
tuning in low key, some of y'all I know with the blue check, it's a lot of big folk that's following. Like we like if you ain't gonna speak up, let that money speak.
Right. Let me tell you this. This is what I expect. Like while I don't want to run an organization anymore, I will say that for all you black billionaires and you black celebrities who are too afraid to speak out or to champion reparations, at least financially support the people who are. Because like how can you not? Like what do you like? I don't understand that. And here's the other thing. It's like pay for these families to have their consultations, right? You don't give your money to, philanthropic organizations who are going to be afraid to invest in work like this. Give it straight to the families who need to consultations or to talk to folks who know what they're doing and who have a track record. That's what you do.
Yeah. If it to me it feels like every millionaire in our community or folks high on the seven figure spectrum of things, everybody should have some type of organization, nonprofit or something like that, or mutual aid that they are
Mm,
constantly giving to. Even the way that we, grew up in the church and it was like you giving 10%, you should be giving 10, you go 10% to the church, but get 10% somewhere else too. Like we can't sustain ourselves without that type of contribution. So that brings me to Milana. So who we were again finally able to get on here. For the folks that are just joining in, having a conversation with Kavon Ward of Where's My Land, who has helped Black families get their land back after it was unjustly stolen. We talking real reparations. She is told us breaking news that she had to shut down the organization due to honestly a lack of support, lack of funding, due to the political climate, and due to a lack of support from various entities. And Milana, you come in on this conversation because you have worked hand in hand with Kavon. Is that correct? Can you kind of speak about that a little more?
that's correct. So I met Kavon because she was representing my cousin in her issue with the city of Santa Monica. And um, I just became the spokesperson for her because she oftentimes was not able to be where that was needed. And through that process, I got to see firsthand what Where Is My Land was doing, how they were advocating for their families in a space where no one else was willing to do that. Um, and I became a part of the organization, which was a great honor for me. And so I got to see it from the other part of how much they have to do behind the scenes, how much research is done, how much advocacy is done, all those things that play into the posts that you see, that you wonderfully collaborated with us on so often. And I want to thank you. This is the first time I'm speaking to you. Greatly appreciate you and what you do, because I understand how tolling it is, how taxing it is mentally, physically. It's a lot to take in constantly as you do. So I just wanted to say I'm really happy to see, as of late, I've noticed that you are taking time to also appreciate the good things in life and kind of make a point of sharing those as well, because it's really important, because it does
Thank you.
take a toll on you. And bless you for, what you're doing to constantly put knowledge out
Thank
so
you.
that we can all understand what's happening in our world. But I got to see that part of it, the behind the scenes, and like she spoke to, the lack of support, the lack of funding, the lack of investment. And I think we finally got to the point where we had an absolutely wonderful team. We had
Amen.
parts in place. We had a fantastic team. And right at that moment is when the great shift happened.
Mm,
Um, and the funding literally just dried up. It wasn't an enormous amount of funding to begin with,
mm,
but even that
mm,
dried up. And I think the way in which it was done was cowardly. We were kind of led on to believe that we were going to get the funding, and just continually led on and led on and led on, which did not allow us to close out in a graceful manner. It didn't allow us to have conversations with the families we were representing that we should have been able to have. We weren't able to give them that respect and that due diligence. And that part breaks my heart, because we didn't even understand ourselves that that was going to be the end of it. We thought it was a pause, a hiatus, because that's what we were being told.
mm,
And so it all happened very abruptly. And it was just disheartening. It was painful. And even now, I'm just very upset at how it happened, and that we weren't able to do for our families what we should have been able to do in closing out this process and giving them the
mm,
tools to continue on, because I don't know who else is going to step in and try to fight for them and advocate for them in these spaces where there's so much uncertainty. And
mm.
that's the part it is. Everybody wants certainty. Everybody wants to know that they're going to win in the end. And Where's My Land was willing to step out and push without having that certainty, just because that was the correct thing to do.
Mm. Wow. Wow. Hmm. If you all had received the funding that you needed, especially towards the end of the organization existing, what would you have equipped the families with? What would you have given them as you all parted?
We would have given them, I think for the most part, the advocacy recommendation reports,
Hmm.
right? Just like, okay, this is how you keep it moving. A lot of what I'm
Yeah.
doing in my consultations is what I would have provided personally.
Hmm.
Um, but instead, I'm stuck with trying to close things out,
Mm.
and like I'm dealing with a lot right now. I'll just say that, to
Yeah.
try to close this out. Um, but I think at the very least, we would have been able to finish their research. There's a lot of them who are still waiting for their research summaries to be completed,
Mm.
that don't have research summaries. So we're having to just refund them. Like, we've had our researchers like at the tail end of completing their research summaries and timelines, but it had to be halted because I was like, I don't believe in y'all. Like, y'all been holding on for this long. Some people were still working without being paid because we were led to
Mm.
believe that the funding was coming through.
Mm.
And I was like, look, stop. Like, I refuse to have you all working and not being paid. This is not slavery. Like, I'm not doing that. And so I would rather give those families their money back. They didn't pay for the full service. None of our families paid for the full service. We subsidize what they paid.
Hmm.
So if like, for example, if a researcher was being paid six figures, families only paid like at most $1,500 to receive a research summary and timeline, despite it taking months to get done, right? Because
Right.
we subsidize it, or in the state, in the cases of California, we did that work for free because we were like, that's where most of the funding came from. So I think at the very least, families would have had their research summaries complete so that they had something tangible to take to lawyers that they were looking to represent them, so that they could create their own media and social media strategies with. Like, I would have liked to, for the folks who were in the phase of media, I would have liked to have been able to have petitions created for them so they can get the signatures that they need. I would have liked to have, a press release. Like, there were just things, that deliverables we were providing, that we had to stop. We had to halt. And so now I'm in a place where we have half done research summaries, and I'm
Mm.
having to give folks their money back.
Wow. Mm. So how I remember when we first sat down and you were explaining to me this information of, like, I think 90% of our land was taken in the 1900s, the 20th century. And it just kind of struck me like, it's because we don't often hear the narrative of us after enslavement and during that Jim Crow period is like accumulating wealth with land. And we know there were some, of course, high poverty rates and things like that, but we knew what we needed to do, what had to get done for us to be able to sustain ourselves. So I guess my question is, like, from you all's experience and work, just how widespread is this issue? Because with that said, y'all were just one organization. There's only so much you can do. Whenever I would post one of y'all videos or one of your videos and the work you were doing, I would get so many people messaging me. And I was just like, I'm the media. Like, I mean, but it was disheartening because, like, I don't, at least from my knowledge, I don't know if my family ever dealt with that, but just to know that there are so many people who have that same experience. So, like, how much of an issue is this?
It's overwhelming. It's so horrible because I think it's national. It's widespread. There's not one state we have not had a claimant from.
Mm,
It's more common in the South, but I think what people also don't realize that is that, we have this issue with land being taken, right? But the reason why a lot of land is taken because there's oil and mineral sitting on the land.
mm, mm,
So, I mean, we also have the issue with, like, folks hiring attorneys and entrusting them with their claim and their cases, and the lawyers swindling them out of money.
mm,
Like, it's very, very overwhelming.
mm,
And for someone who's an empath like me, I had to make sure I put people in place on the front line to handle it, because I would be depressed every freaking day.
mm,
And I think that's why it's better that I'm pivoting and I'm just like, I can do one at a time, and I can't be that, because when I tell you it pisses me off, like, I don't even know, like, you have folks coming to you crying, and you can't, you want to just be like, here, I'm gonna take it, like, by any means necessary, I'm gonna do what I need to do to get you your land back, or to get you some justice, but you can't. Oftentimes you have to operate within this system that's still fucked up, excuse my
mm,
language, just
mm,
messed up, right? And so, and then you have to deal with lawyers and people who want to operate under the law as it is now, instead of having the courage to fight to change the laws,
mm,
right? And then you have folks who are afraid to fight to change the laws, because if you do that, then you don't get the funding that you need, and your livelihood is at risk.
mm,
So I think, outside of, just the fact that folks are getting land stolen, I think there is a lot of trauma related to
yeah.
the fight to get it back, or the fight to get some type of repair.
Mm,
And you see a lot of families, or I've seen a lot of families, who get upset with us because, they see the Brewster situation and how quickly that happened, and they're like, well, you're not doing anything, but we
mm,
are. And then they have no idea what we're doing behind the scenes, because we're not telling
right.
them everything. We're like, let's see. I'm like, literally, like, out these. I'm literally making moves and putting myself on the line for families, and they will email me like, "You're not doing enough. You're a fraud. You're a fake." And I'm like, I can't, like, you
Mm,
know what I'm saying? So it's like
yeah,
you can tell there's a lot of trauma still there, and there are people who have been harmed so severely that they start to look at everybody as the enemy, even people who are trying to help them, because they're
to be,
not helping them in the way in which they think they should be helped, or they're not,
yeah.
it's not the success is not happening fast enough.
And I think probably too, just a lack of understanding how this system works, because
Yeah.
it's hard to guarantee anybody
You can't
success.
guarantee
You
anybody.
like whenever I work with a family just to elevate a story, I always let them know I can't guarantee nothing. I can't.
Yeah.
People gonna see it. Even if
Hmm.
somebody that can help hits me up and say they're interested, I can't guarantee they're gonna follow through. I
And
can
I
Right.
think
guarantee that I'm gonna post it.
if I can interject, I think part of the issue too is that the system has been stacked for generations. The
Yeah.
system has been stacked since the founding of this nation. Um, and they have worked in a consolidated manner to make sure it stays that way.
Yeah.
And what we find on our end of it is that there can be disruptors, or there's just a lack of us working in consolidation in that same manner. And we really need to learn
Hmm.
how to do
Yeah.
that,
Hmm.
because we start fighting each other instead of working together to get the result we want. Where on the other side, they're working together, they're in lockstep.
Yeah. Mm,
And we really need to learn that lesson and start to apply it.
mm. That's a great point, because I think that even speaks to what you were saying previously, Kavon, and somebody even brought up the question. I think you already said it, but just for clarification, like what was the background of the lawyers who were doing this to you?
God. I mean, it's unfortunate, but like, I mean, they were our people. They were they were skin folk. And I will say, out of all the lawyers that I've worked with, and I've worked with a lot of them during my 5 years in California doing the work, I would say the only two lawyers I met that I felt operated in integrity were Peter and Azani of Allen Mackins. Everyone, when I tell you, it is
Mm,
just the addiction. Like they would see these stories publicized and like hounds go after these families and say they
mm,
want to help because they wanted the limelight,
mm,
right? They wanted the limelight. They want to tell their stories, but they're not doing the work that is necessary to advocate for these families, right? And what they do, this is what one thing I've seen happen. You'll see Where's My Land get them to the point where they're able to have these conversations with decision makers about whether or not repair will happen. What they do is they have the families, like they would either like give them ultimatums and be like, well, we're not going to help if Where's My Land is involved, or like we got it, attorney client privilege, Where's My Land has to be pushed out of the way, right? Like, so they'll do that so that they can get the attention they need, because they're all trying to be the Ben Crumps of the reparations work. That's what I'm
mm,
noticing.
mhm, mhm,
And so they'll push us out. So we fight hard. We're going hard, 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 hard. We're getting folks, and especially political folks in these cities and local entities. We're getting them like tight. They're like scrambling. They're like, we got to do something. And then the lawyers move Where's My Land out of the way. They're at the negotiating tables, and then
mm,
the next thing you know, folks getting crumbs. I mean, I've seen it.
mm,
We saw it. We saw it in Palm Springs. We saw it in Bruce. I mean, it's just a pattern that I've been witnessing, and I'm just like, if I had to give one piece of advice to the families, and this is going to be free advice I'm giving, be careful who you choose to represent you and to negotiate for you. Be careful, because there's a lot of snakes who lack integrity and call themselves lawyers out there. And there's a lot of people who want to come up off of these family stories and say, oh, I want to amplify it, but they don't have any plan or strategy in place to ensure that true substantive repair is provided.
mm. It's deep that
And wait,
you.
wait, wait. I just want to say one more thing. I want to interrupt you and say this. I want to say that this is based on my experience in California. I don't know about a lot of the other attorneys because I haven't, but my experience with California attorneys,
Mm,
that has been my experience with them.
wow. Wow. You only was able to name two.
I'm just
Wow.
saying.
Is there anything you want to add to that, Milana?
No.
So at this point, I think it's important for us to let people know what's next. What's next for both of you all. And I want to just, use this time to kind of elevate that because, well, for the folks that are just tuning in, as we get ready to wind down, I'm here with Kavon Ward of Where's My Land and Milana. And the breaking announcement was that they're shutting down operations. And again, it's not because the work is done. There's so much work that needs to be done, but as Kavon says, it's difficult to maintain without the proper funding, especially in this political climate. It's sad to say, but you are not the only organization I've worked closely with over the years that has met the same fate in the last few months. So we really have to figure out a way not just to get funding to folks who are doing this important work, but to, as a community, say that we gonna pull our money together. Like you said, if it's 1,000 people giving $50 and something like that, if we can all be on one accord and do something like this, then we have more power that way too, because that is truly us determining who is able to have that freedom of time. And people got to really understand when you do social justice work in the capitalist system you need money like you because the money, I mean, we ain't living off the grid. Like you need the money so that you can have your time freed up to focus on the most important thing, and if that's not the case, then you find yourself doing other things for money so that you can then only focus that
Mhm.
last 5% of your time on the most important thing. But that's how they get us in this trap. So, but with that said, I want to close this on just a note of like what you all are doing moving forward. So how can folks get in touch with you? What type of work are you doing now that Where's My Land has shut down operations?
Yeah, I'm going to keep doing the work. I have clients that I provide a one-on-one consultation to. And if folks want to book consultations, they can go to my website, kavonward.com, and book their consultation that way. And then I've got some other stuff in the works, and I'll tell you about that another time.
Okay, we'll do another live for
Yeah.
that. So KavonWard.com, y'all make sure y'all hit her up. And Milan, is there anything you would like to add in closing?
I am shifting. I am now moving into the education space. Just trying to support our youth. Uh, but I just would like to say that I think we really, in this time that we're in right now, we need to focus on what we're feeding our energy to.
Mm,
Um, and we really need to learn how to work together and try to elevate the good aspects, and really shift energies into that, because there is so much negativity, um, that is draining all of us. I
hmm
mean, it's just a constant. We need to stay knowledgeable, and we appreciate like the videos that you bring and the highlights that you're giving us, so that we are still aware. I'm not saying by any means, bury our heads in the sand, but I am saying remain knowledgeable about what's happening, but choose carefully where
hmm
you put your energy. Um, and we just have to, as I say, keep on keeping on and keep fighting.
mm. That's real. That's real. Me and Cabana talked about that so much. Like, guard your energy during this season.
Yeah.
I promise you, Milana, like my daily thought is I do like a social media fast every week where I just don't go for a full day. And every time I get back on, I'm like, why am I even? Because like I come on now, I just do like I do my work. Like I'll post, interact a little bit, then I'm gone. Do something like this and I'm gone. But it is so draining. And it's like I know how bad things are. I don't know how many bullet points under that I need to be exposed to. Like I know about I know
Um,
about the files. I don't know how much more. Like just I'm going back to, I'll subscribe to real newspapers now. Like I'm looking at the news app. So yeah, y'all guard your energy. And if you need a consultation, go to KavonWard.com. She's still doing the work. it's just not under the umbrella of Where's My Land. And I think we got to make sure we understand that the work is the work and the work needs to be done. And Milana, I'm so glad to know that you are in the education field because our kids need to know at that foundational level, that passion, that empathy, and also too, the impact of this country of ours. So with that said, y'all, I'm gonna go
Wait,
ahead and, oh yeah, go ahead, go ahead, go
can
ahead.
I just close by just saying
Hmm.
some thank yous? Like,
Yep.
thank you to you, brother, for the work that you have helped us do. I want to thank my beautiful team, who are still my team in my heart. Hannah, Orlando, Hal, Doug, Milana, a chance. Like, I will never forget. They were the best team. They were the all-star team. I want to thank, I've definitely started the movement and led the movement, but the movement would not be possible without the community members, without the volunteers, without, what comes to mind is when I think about Santa Monica, I think about Robbie Jones and CRJ and how they had boots on the ground helping us with Milana's family's case, right? Like, I can't say it enough that the work would not be possible without the people. So power to the people. I think all the people who liked and shared posts, our post, the post that you posted, you helped us post. I think God and the Most High for folks who signed the petitions that we circulated. I thank God and the Most High for like people who really did genuinely put their time and their energy into helping us amplify these horrible stories, and who helped us get some type of justice for these families.
Mm. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. On that note, hope y'all have a great day. Hope y'all able to protect your energy, have a prosperous day, a peaceful day. And for everybody tuning in, make sure you share this. I'll let y'all soon.
Take care.
You
Y'all too. Peace.
Bye bye.